getting used to my new digs, so I'm trying to figure that out and feel it out. They just completed this yesterday afternoon about 4 something, huh? 4:30, yeah. So it's all still fresh and new up here on this great new expanse that we've got. So welcome. So I've noticed, I'm just going to do it again, because Facebook and YouTube love to capture me when I have my arms out, so I'm just going to let it capture me. I posted on Facebook last week, like, either I do this a lot, or Facebook's algorithm, that's the only thing it will ever catch, is this. So I don't know which it is, but so I'm just going to help Facebook out, and there you go. And same thing with YouTube. Every, not just some, every single one, I'm standing there like this. The little thumbnail video. So there you go. So it is September already. And this month, what we're going to be working with is we're working with the power of affirmative prayer. That is going to be our theme for this month. But before we do that, let's breathe in and breathe out our focus statement, shall we? So here we go. All together, like you mean it, because I know you do. Here we go. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. Yes, and so it is. All right. So I have a question for you. The begging and beseeching, right, kind of prayer, how's that working for you? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. How's that bargaining with God going for you, right? God, if you just give me a new car, I promise I will give up chocolate. Right? How's that begging and pleading? Is it working for you? No. Not always, right? Sometimes it might, but not always. And so what we also know too is that sometimes there's those prayers of really falling to your knees, right? And saying, God help me. Please help. And sometimes that prayer is more powerful. And the reason why that prayer might be more powerful is because what we've done in that moment is we've completely surrendered. We've completely turned it over. We've completely surrendered. But there are very few times when that really is the prayer, right? Usually it's a prayer about getting something, getting the goodies, or let's change this up. Let's see if this will work over here. Let's see if that'll be different, right? It's more about that is what we're frequently praying for or praying about. And so Ernest Holmes says that really there is nothing new. We're not doing something new. We just have another way that is perhaps more in consciousness or more in alignment to help bring about those changes and those conditions that we wish to see in the world and that we wish to experience in our own lives. And what he refers to that as is spiritual mind treatment, or what we also refer to it as affirmative prayer. And so that's what we're going to be discussing this morning, and we're going to be discussing it all month long, the different pieces of affirmative prayer. But really what this is, what spiritual mind treatment is, and I remember when I first heard that term, I was like, what is that? And I asked my first minister, when I was sitting in Beyond Limits, I was sitting in one of the first classes, I'm like, spiritual mind treatment? What is that? I don't like the term. It just, I don't know. I said, it sounds like, you're trying to brainwash me, and I thought we're not a cult, And he's like, well, we're not a cult, and couldn't your brain use some good scrubbing every once in a while? I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe, right? Remove that stinking thinking, right? So what is spiritual mind treatment? What is it? It's spiritually treating your mind to change an idea, to demonstrate faith. That's really what it's about. The word treatment comes in from back in the day, in the early or in the mid to late 1800s, that there was something referred to as the mind cure movement. And what this is simply what we teach: change your thinking, change your mind, change your life, right? So if you had and where it really started is it started with different illnesses, a lot of times TB and other illnesses. And so what they believed is that if you change your mind, that everything physically was a representation of something, of a thought process that was going on in your mind, or a belief that you were holding in your mind, then they would treat. And so they had sanitariums back in the day. And so it came out from more of a medical type treatment, because that's what it was. That's where they were using it. So it came from a medical type treatment, and so that's where the word comes in, is that they would then treat your mind, treat your belief system, and then cures would happen, right? So the mind cure movement. So that's where we get the treatment piece. And so what is it that we teach here? That thoughts are things, right? That what we believe is what we see. That everything that we believe, or everything that we're seeing out here, is a reflection of what's happening in here. That all of it is an external projection of what is happening within. So we always go, the answers we know lie within, that we turn within. I really like being down this low. It's so much better. I can see you all so much better. That it's a reflection, right? Everything is a reflection. And so what we then get to do is then we get to begin to change our thinking. And so one of the best ways that we've created here in Centers for Spiritual Living that Ernest Holmes came up with, the technology or the tool he came up with, was that thing called spiritual mind treatment. And so spiritual mind treatment really, or affirmative prayer, really is a series of affirmations. It's just simply a series of affirmations. So there's no rote memorization. There's no "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name," where everybody can say it all at the same time. There is no rote memorization, right? Each treatment is spontaneous in the moment. That it's not written down and read and read and read, though you can write treatments out, you can write them down. But each treatment, each affirmative prayer is complete unto itself. That it's not something that we just keep going back to and repeat and repeat and repeat. Each one is spontaneous. And each one is personal to the person speaking it. Because where the shift in consciousness happens is where? It's within you, right? It's within your own consciousness, right? You're not trying to affect change out here. What you're affecting change in is your own consciousness, or your own way of thinking, your own way of believing, right? So it's very personal. And it's present tense. There's no "I will," or "I want," or "I should." Don't should on yourself. That's nasty, right? So there is no "I will," right? Or "I would," or "I should," or "I could," right? It's claiming it in positive and present tense. So we negate the word no. We don't use the word no, because does the universe hear the word no? Not really. It just hears what you're affirming, right? So we don't usually, there are instances when we might use the word no, but very rarely do we do that. And that's a whole nother class, right? Not just talk, class. So it's a positive affirmation. It's a positive statement of truth that's personal, that's powerful, and that's present tense. And so what spiritual mind treatment then is it is a series of these in a given order. The order is not really, it's more of a structure, if you will. It's a framework, if you will, that we start off with recognition. Recognizing that God is all there is, or love is all there is, spirit is all there is, whatever word you choose to use, that we're recognizing that there is only one power and one presence, one infinite eternal beingness, this one that I choose to call God or love, right? That there's only that. And so that's the first step, recognition. And so we spend as much time in recognition as we need to really begin to feel the power and the presence of the divine in our heart space, within us. And then we recognize too, or we realize, I don't want to confuse words, but we then come to understand that if there truly is only one, and that's all that there is, that everything is this consciousness, everything is the same matter, everything is the same energy, then I have to be that too, because there's nothing else for me to be. Correct? That's what you have to be as well. That's what the chair has to be. That's what the TVs have to be. Everything has to be this one thing showing up in a variety of ways. So what we recognize is that the entire universe is the manifest body of God. That the entire universe is made up of the same love intelligence that we are, the same matter that we are. It's just configured differently. And so in the second stage, it's called unification. Unification means is that we are bringing ourselves into alignment. We're bringing to our conscious awareness the fact that we are the divine made manifest, and that we are completely inseparable from it. There is nothing I can do, there is nothing I can say, there is nothing that I can be that would ever keep me from my good or ever keep me from my God. Because God, Spirit, and I are one. Each one of us is the divine manifestation, impartation, and emanation of this one life. How good is that? Right? So that's the unification. So when we start off with recognition, we recognize that God is all there is, and then we unify and we bring it in with internally, recognizing that that is the who of who we are. And so then if I am the divine made manifest, and you are the divine made manifest, then guess what? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And that which God did not create was never, ever created. And so, if then I too am co-creator, or I am one with the one, I am the divine made manifest, then the very word I speak, from a place of centeredness and alignment, the very word I speak is the word of God, is the word of the divine, is a creative power and a creative process, or a creative power that begins the creative process. And so then the third stage of treatment is then called realization, because what you're doing is speaking the word, and you are realizing, making real that which you wish to experience in your life, or the change that you wish to see. You're making it real by speaking your word, co-creating with the divine within you, and the divine that is transcendent. Cool? Yeah, right? And then the fourth stage of treatment is thanksgiving. And in the thanksgiving stage of treatment, we give thanks for the realization of the changed conditions. And so what it is doing is it is an acceptance, it is another way of accepting into our lives that which we have chosen to experience. It is expressing acceptance, and it's expressing gratitude for. Never gratitude to. Who are you giving thanks to? Where does God live? Right? And all around us? So there's no need to go, thank you, God, unless you're going to turn around and go, you're welcome, right? So it's never giving thanks to something, because the infinite love intelligence that is all is right where you are, so there's nothing outside of yourself to give thanks to. So it's never a to. It's always a for. Expressing gratitude for. Because also what you're expressing then is you're expressing your acceptance of the changed condition. And then the fifth step is release. Release is here's a word that, some people don't always like to hear, surrender, right? Release is a surrender, but it's not waving a white flag, like, I give up. It's not a surrender, right? It's actually, when we release it, we are placing the word into the law, into the creative mind, into that law that knows only how to say yes, into that thing, that substance that only knows how to create. We place it there and we turn it over there and simply allow. Trusting that Spirit, that the universal law of the universe knows what it needs to do and how to do it to bring the demonstration forth in our life. So if you think of it as if you are a gardener, and I know we've talked about this analogy before, but if you're a gardener and you plant a seed and you water it and you nurture it, and then the next day you go back and you start digging like this to make sure that the soil is doing what it's supposed to do, and then you're like, okay, yeah, and then you did it and cover it up again, and then the next day you go back and you check again, right? Are you trusting the soil and the process to do what it needs to do to grow the seed? No. What are you doing? You're doubting, but you're also disrupting the process, right? And you're disrupting the growth, exactly. So you're disrupting the process. So what happens? It doesn't grow, right? So the release statement, like in the song, I release and I let go, right? The release statement is about turning it over, about trusting. Basically, it's a declaration of your faith. It's like, you know what? I have spoken my word. It is so, and so there it is, so it is, and it does its thing. And I have every confidence that it will do that. That's what spiritual mind treatment is. That's what spiritual mind treatment is about. And so what this whole process is, it is a way of changing your thinking. And when we change our thinking, our beliefs begin to change. And when our beliefs change, then the conditions out here that we are experiencing also must change. Because you can have a single thought. We've talked about this a few months ago. You can have a single thought. I have $1 million. But if there's not a belief behind it, if that possibility doesn't exist behind it, in my own mind, in my own heart, in my own belief system, if I don't believe that that is even a possibility, will I ever have $1 million? Could happen. Most likely not. Because the belief is missing. So the real power of affirmative prayer is that the affirmative prayer helps to develop the belief. It helps to develop the faith. And remember, it is done to us as we believe. The moment we believe it, and to the degree of what we believe it. Because God can only do for us what it can do through us. So what we're then told then, or what we then know, is that we have to bring ourselves into alignment with that. That's what we need to bring ourselves in alignment with. We're not out there trying to change God. Right? God is the changeless change. It doesn't change, it just is, right? So prayer is not about changing God. Prayer is about changing our own ideas and our own attitudes and our own beliefs. That's why we pray. Prayer is not about trying to manipulate a situation. Prayer is about getting clarity as to what it is that we truly believe. And then it is from that place that we speak our word. And the word is made manifest. Because what we're doing is we're bringing ourselves in alignment with that which we wish to experience. And we do that with affirmation after affirmation after affirmation. In the structure of affirmative prayer, in the structure of spiritual mind treatment. And people say, be careful what you wish for, right? People also say, be specific with your treatment. Like, if you want a red car, treat for the red car. Like, Well, now you're just limiting God, right? So you got your red car, but it's a beater and it doesn't run. What are you going to do? So it's not about treating for that one specific thing. It's good to visualize it, but there's always that phrase, this or something better, right, is waiting for me. This or something better. But what I find an even better way of approaching it is to really align yourself with what is back of the car. What is it that really about? Is the car about your freedom? Is the car about the way it makes you feel with the wind blowing through your hair as you're like riding in a convertible? What is it about the car that you're wanting to experience? Because the car is just an expression of what it is that you're truly wanting to experience. So you get in alignment with that which is in back of the desire, that which is in back of the condition that you wish to experience, and then see it from there. And approach the treatment from there. Bring yourself into alignment with that quality or qualities that you wish to experience. So back in 2011, I told Ed I loved him. And he cried. And he said, "Oh, I don't really feel that same way about you." And then I cried. That was 2011. But it was a very bonding moment between the two of us, but still, I was hurt. He was confused. There we are. I could have treated, I could have prayed, I could have begged God, I could have bargained with God, please make Ed love me. Please change his mind. Please change his heart. I could have begged, I could have pleaded. I could have gone down that road of treating like, and I know and I affirm that Ed and I live a long and happy and prosperous life together. And that, we have dogs together. I could have envisioned all this, right? I could have laid it out like that as to what I wanted to see back there in 2011. And it would have gotten me nowhere. Because the work really is about the relationship with myself and the relationship with my understanding of the divine. And so I didn't treat for Ed and I to be together. I treated knowing that I was the perfect partner. I treated knowing that I was the divine expression of love. I treated knowing that I am my own companion. That God and I have this tight relationship. That we have that I have a deep understanding of the love that I am, of my own divinity, that I have a deep understanding of my own sense of self and being and what it is that I have to offer. And that's where I did my work. I kept treating there. For Spirit to reveal to me the love that I am in greater ways. And then guess what happened in 2013? It just so happened to be Ed. Because he had also been doing his work about relationships. Not about being in relationship with me, but about relationships and his place in relationships. And then in 2013, on August 16th, he professed his undying love for me. Yay! But it wasn't about, but what I wanting to impress upon you is that it's not that praying isn't about trying to get Ed to love me, right? Praying was about allowing me to love me. And his prayer was allowing love to love him. And when we each got clear, guess who was standing before us? Was each other, right? So that's what I'm impressing upon you, that it's not about the specifics, because it could have been somebody else for either one of us, but it happened to be each other. And so that was the fortunate thing. But the focus was not on that. The focus was on love and being authentically who each one of us is called to be. And so that's the power of affirmative prayer. That's what I'm telling you, that when I say don't necessarily treat for the specifics, don't pray for the specifics, but more the prayer is about bringing yourself into alignment with the quality and with the experience that you wish to have as a whole. That is something the universe grabs hold of. And the feeling behind that, the universe grabs hold of, Spirit grabs hold of, and then brings it forth into your existence. The words aren't so important as much as the feeling behind it. And even beyond the feeling behind it is the actual belief behind it. When you believe that you're the power and presence of love, guess what happens? Love shows up. Love lives here. That's right. When you believe that you're the power and presence of prosperity, guess what happens? Abundance shows up. When you believe that you're the power and the presence of peace, guess what happens? Peace shows up. And not in just this little corner of your life, but in all of your life. That's the power of affirmative prayer. So if you want to learn to do spiritual mind treatment, which I highly suggest you do, it's really good. It's really powerful. Lives have been changed because of it for well over 100 years. I know lives in this community have changed because of it. Ask any practitioner, they can tell you how prayer has changed their lives. So we have a class coming up starting at the end of September, and our beloved Kim O'Connor back there is going to be teaching it, and that is the Foundations class, and that's going to be starting again in September. We offered it this summer, and Anita facilitated it so beautifully during the summer, and we thought, a lot of you were on summer vacation, and so you weren't around. So what we thought we'd do is we thought we'd offer it again in September, in fall, to allow for even more people to be able to participate in this wonderful class. So in Foundations, you're going to learn spiritual mind treatment. You also get to learn the foundation beliefs of Centers for Spiritual Living and our principles and our practices. It's a great course to take, so that will be starting at the end of September. Another way for you to receive spiritual mind treatment, or to begin to learn more about spiritual mind treatment, is to receive spiritual mind treatment from a practitioner. Go and sit with a practitioner and share with them that which you wish to experience, and that which you wish to have show up in your life, and allow them to pray with you. It is truly a gift that each one of them so generously and willingly gives. And so this morning, we also have the opportunity, like we do the first Sunday of every morning, or the first Sunday of every month, is I invite our practitioners forward, and I'm going to allow them to create the prayer wall here in front of us. And so if you are wishing to experience the power of affirmative prayer this morning, spiritual mind treatment, I invite you to begin forming a couple lines down here in the center of the sanctuary. And I'm going to do the first two stages of treatment. I'm going to do the recognition and unification. And then I will invite you to step forward and state your name to the practitioner in front of you, and the one word you're choosing to experience today. And so there's all these wonderful God qualities available to you today, and then there's more. But choose one. And then the practitioner you're standing before will then start from the third stage of prayer. They'll start from that realization stage. I now speak my word for Chester. Right? And then they will continue on with the third, fourth, and fifth stages of prayer. So they'll continue on with realization, thanksgiving, and release. So if you would like to experience the power of affirmative prayer this morning, I invite you to go ahead and form a couple lines down here in the center. There you go. Woo! Look at you guys. Powerful. Prayer warriors. All right, so let's just do the first two steps of treatment, and then I'll call you forward. So right here and right now, I recognize that there is only one power, one presence, one infinite eternal beingness. This one I call love, this one I call God, this one I call spirit, though it goes by many names. I recognize that it was and always has been and always will be, for it is eternal and it is infinite. It is the love, intelligence that is back of all creation and expresses and lives, moves, breathes, and has its being through and as all of creation. All of life is this one life made manifest. And so therefore I recognize that the who of who I am is the divine, that I am one with the one, that I am inseparable from it, that I live, move, breathe, and have my being in it and it in me. That truly there is only one present here. And so I know that my life is a life of joy, it is a life of love, it is a life of peace and prosperity and wholeness. It is a life of goodness. For truly that is all that there is. And as I recognize that this is the truth of me, I recognize that this is the truth of everyone present here today. Each one is the divine made manifest, and I recognize that I am one with each one. And so now I allow this word to continue by inviting our beloveds forward to receive prayer from our prayer practitioners. And so as the practitioners begin closing their prayers, I invite them to surround the sanctuary with their consciousness. I invite the core council members to join them in surrounding the sanctuary. Again, I invite the practitioners to surround the sanctuary, the core council members. And so I speak my word here and now, recognizing that the word spoken here this morning has the creative power and the creative presence behind it, that there is only this one presence that is bringing it forth, this one power that is bringing it forth, and this one is the power of love. And so love has been spoken here, the love intelligence has been spoken here. And so I simply give thanks for its manifestation, for its demonstration, for it is already done. And so together we release this word into the law, that creative medium that only says yes, that knows how to bring everything forth. I give thanks for it. I let it be, and so it is.